Don't forget Dermot Healy came from Kilkenny to coach the team. He was a journalist where he worked in Offaly and worked the Oracle. There was Andy Gallagher as well from Tullamore, who trained the team and inspired the players by his own sense of belief in the cause. And well, it was a wonderful occasion all around. And Kilkenny are ready for action as the men of 82 go off. It's all about the men of 2006.
Kilkenny, thank you very much indeed. Yes, that Offaly team, Leinster champions, of course, in 1980-1981. They're barely off the field when the current Leinster champions are tearing out onto it. So Kilkenny are out. Cyril Farr just looking back very briefly to that 81 team of Offaly. We won't even bother mentioning Johnny Flaherty.
Thank you.
That win was as important, obviously, as Galway's the previous year.
Yeah, that put Offaly on the hurling map. They were a great team, very, very strong, but were never credited for the skill they had. Even though they're very, Ger was just talking about before they came out, they were very strong, but very, very skillful team. And like for an Offaly team that before that would always go very near and maybe always kind of let in soft goals or give away kind of soft frees. This team were the epitome of kind of economy. Went on and they laid the foundation. Okay, they were learning from other teams, but they laid the foundation of that culture that's there in Offaly now, like, and a very good side. Flaherty was, his parents, his father came from down the road from me. I wish to God he stayed in Galway because he might have another All-Ireland title, but
he could have thrown it the other direction.
That's for another day.
But if he throws
it.
But you're actually, you know, you forget like the amount of, as Cyril was saying, the amount of fine players that was in that team. You see them all there again.
And isn't it great to see, you know, the impact that Offaly had from the 80s until 2000, you know, the great team. That was a great team. Then you followed in 85, and then of course you brought the brilliant team of the 90s. I think the 90s team was their best team. Certainly one of the best teams that I was ever involved in playing against. So, and it's a shame that Offaly have kind of faded out of the scene for the last 6 or 7 years, you know. Now the great thing is we were just saying that all those players that are out there now, they're all working with young lads at underage now in Offaly under Johnny Flaherty. Johnny's the man who's driving it in Offaly. And hopefully in 4 or 5 years' time that Offaly, you know, that they're building it up under 14 and 15. Hopefully they'll be back again in 4 or 5 years' time as a real force in Leinster because they're badly needed.
A couple more of those men as well down in Borough Community School as Cyril doing a job. Just by the way, I mentioned Kilkenny coming out so quickly there. In a way, it's a little bit of a pity because, you know, part of the day here was the big build-up to a team coming out. They kind of slipped out in us there.
Yeah, but they would have their times got. And like, you know, you'd have the warm-up as Gerard outside the dressing room. You have the warms up done, stretching is done. And if you come out and you're blocked at the tunnel, at the top of the tunnel, you're mad for road. The time will be exact. So, like, it's whoever's running the show, like, decided when they come out. They need to get out on the pitch because they're for once Kilkenny are underdogs. They're mad to get a puck around, and like I expect them to play a hard physical game today against Cork because not to let Cork into the rhythm. If they let Cork into the rhythm and kind of play this lovely controlled hurling, they're in trouble. But I expect Kilkenny to kind of drag out maybe 2 wing forwards out midfield, tight the ground there, close down the Cork half back then and their centre field and make it physical and upset Cork as much as they can.
This is the Cork team, of course, the All-Ireland champions coming out onto the field, and I think we saw from the shot as they emerged from their dressing room through the tunnel there. The determination on the faces of the players as they come to defend their All-Ireland title. Great colour here, of course. There's the Cork captain, of course, Pat Mulcahy there in their shot, and he'll be hoping to get his hands on this a little bit later on. Great colour and pageantry here at Croke Park on All-Ireland final day. And destiny ahead of these Cork players, Ger?
Well, I was just looking at Kilkenny coming out there. Kilkenny ran out onto the field, right? They came down to this side, the canal end of the field. They saw the Cork ballers were already laid out, and they went back up to the other side of the field. So they avoided a confrontation.
Use their heads.
Exactly, use their heads. Don't want to let any distractions get in the way. I'd say, you know, both teams are so professionally prepared. They don't want that to get in the way. Now, you see Donald Cusack coming out there. He's driving them on. He's the big driving force behind that team. And, you know, he knows that whatever about the 3 in a row, this is a game they have to win. And they know that Kilkenny are going to come at them absolutely savagely because forget about the poker faces of Brian Cody there at start. Cody is inside there and he is driving them like he did against Galway 2 years ago below in Thurles because he hasn't taken too kindly to them being rank outsiders, the people writing them off, whatever about JJ Delaney being absent, and he's a proud man, he's from a proud county, and they are going to give everything they have to try and beat Cork today.
There's absolutely no doubt at all about that. OK, let's give you the team lineouts then for this year's All-Ireland hurling final. Our commentator for the big game is Ger Canning.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. We're going to start with Cork as per usual, and the Cork team for the 4th year in a row. Well, the Cork team fourth to final in a row. Cork with the same starting 15. Very, very little change about it for the last number of years. Indeed, 11 of these players have played in all 3 previous finals, including Jerry O'Connor, who came on as a sub to play in 2003. Neil Ronan's last All-Ireland final start was in '99, when Cork beat Kilkenny by a solitary point, while Brian Corcoran starts his 5th All-Ireland final. Mind you, one of those was in football, when Cork lost to Joe Brolly's Derry in 1993. Kilkenny have been hit hard with injuries to J.J. Delaney and Donncha Cody. Michael Kavanagh comes in to play in his 7th All-Ireland final and slots into a full-back line that includes Noel Hickey in the centre and Jackie Tyrrell on his left. John Tennyson is recovered from a shoulder injury and plays at number 6, while the one change in the forward line sees the promotion of Richie Power and the exclusion of Michael Rice. However, with the rotation system now favoured, Power could very well switch with Eddie Brennan even before the start of the match. All speculation, all to play for, all to look ahead to. Michael.
It is indeed, Ger. Thank you very much indeed. Cyril Farr, let me come back again to you. We've asked you to have a look at the Cork team and aspects of their play and tactics and so on. Donlow Cusic's puck-outs is the first thing you want to
talk
about.
Donlow, Michael, to me is the conductor of the orchestra. He's more than just a keeper. Now, he's very, very good keeper, but he has the whole, he dominates all the backs, not just a 3 to full back line. Here it's a fast puck-out. Now, they know it's coming. It comes from centre forward Niall McCarthy. This is a long puck out, just varied again. But they won't win them all, and when they break down, they look terrible. Against Galway last year, all the championship played short puck out, but against Galway last year, he actually played long ones. Look at this little flick out, standing all alone, wing back Mulcahy. Again, this is going to find the man again. Now, someone will break down, but trying to get it in front of it. He never just belts it. He tried, look at beautiful flick out to the wing back, Gardner, and it's gone. Now, here, a long one, unusual for him, but he'd go long now and again, and usually have the 2 big men under Brian Corcoran or Niall McCarthy. And if they get it, usually when he dances, he's going to play it short. Lovely little short one again. Looks lovely when it works. Long one, here we come again. He'll vary it, but the lads, they know how to feed what's happening. Now, they won't win them all, but he dictates what's happening. See, a goalkeeper, Michael, can actually take his time pucking. He know where he's going to puck it. He's the only one that has a free shot. Now, maybe at times he might take a little step outfield, but look at that out straight to Niall McCarthy. Again, here. It's kind of dangerous play in a sense, but when it works, and they don't change. Every time they're under pressure, you'd say maybe they won't play the short game or the possession game, but like they don't vary, and all the last 2 or 3 years has been successful, so they won't change.
And his saves not bad either.
Oh, he's still a very good keeper. Like this year, people only recognise how good he is. He's brilliant, but like he's on top. I was just saying to an old stage at home, how would you to upset him? He said, I know what I do. He said, I'd get in around him and he's miraculously on a free out, because it might just upset him. But like you're not allowed to do that now. But you could. I expect Kilkenny to be very physical. I expect their forwards to be moving around, and maybe their wing forwards to go deeper out midfield to try to crowd it and put pressure to upset the rhythm of Cork. If they do that, they're in the game.
Well, Joe, we've asked you to have a look at the Kilkenny team. Now, you've looked at their defence and also contrasted that with their options in the forward line.
Well, yeah, if you look at all the expert opinion over the last few days, they're all talking about the lack of pace in the Kilkenny defence. Maybe even 5 of the Kilkenny defenders may lack pace. Terrific hurlers, great under the ball, but when the ball is played behind them, they can be in trouble, you know, and especially when somebody runs at them. That's their big problem. If you take them on and get past them, they can be very slow. They're like a Tennyson, James Ryle, Mike Kavanagh. They have that fault, but they can cover it up in other ways as well, because their skill level is fantastic, their tackling is excellent, but that one fault is if the ball is played in quickly behind them. Here we have against Galway with Tierney coming from midfield. Now, added to their problems with their backs, I believe the Fitz hasn't great pace either, and that could be a huge problem today if he doesn't follow Jerry O'Connor and Tom Kenny. So that is the one big problem with him. Here you saw against Clare now, watch when Gilly goes through, you know, very, you know, a very good save by James McGarry, which was underrated at the time. Now, the other side of the thing, of course, the other side of the coin is their ability to score. They scored 221 against Clare, 222 against Galway. I mean, they're fantastic scores. And added to 221 against Clare, they had 18 wides. So over 40 times they put the ball over the Clare goal line. Now, that is massive shooting. So they have that real danger, and they can score goals. Yeah, that is the whole thing. They can
get the goals.
They can score goals. You know, now, admittedly, they're up against a defence today that is very disciplined, that won't give away many frees and don't play to the crowd. A lot of what happened against Clare was you had a lot of these defenders who were hitting as much ball as possible, so that the people down at home were saying, oh, he played great, he hit 10 balls. the mark of a defender is how many balls does his man hit. And that's how Cork play. They don't give ball to their opposite man.
One big talking point is the absence of JJ Delaney from this Kilkenny team.
Brilliant player. Like, he'd be on any Kilkenny team. In actual fact, he'd be on any team. Like, you know, he's been player of the year for so many years. He's a young fella, but he seems to be around a long time. Came through the ranks, has won minor under 21 medals, and like he has a couple of All-Stars plus player of the year. And you see, when Kilkenny had problems, when Brian Cody was saying he's in transition, anywhere he had a problem, it would have been centre back, would have been full back, would have been corner back. But after saying that, Noel Hickey will prefer to be full back, and Michael Kavanagh will be on most teams' corner back. Now, he weakens the team, but what they're bringing on is very, very experienced. Michael Kavanagh has won a lot of
And he has a great record against Joe Dean.
He sure has.
Okay, we have a quick break to take right now. Don't go away, because the All-Ireland hurling final of 2006 is just minutes away.
This team for me are the best, most disciplined hurling team I've ever seen.
The same joy of winning will be there, the same desolation of losing will be there as well.
Welcome back again to the programme. Yes, it is a nice sunny day here in Dublin, the first Sunday in September. It's All-Ireland final day, and here's the scene at Croke Park ahead of the big match between Cork and Kilkenny. The President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, will be introduced very, very shortly to the teams. These are the moments, Cyril Farrell at Cork All-Ireland final, that, you know, you get more tense and more tense.
Yeah, they want the match to start. But like Michael, I really believe, say, the Garner, Curran, O'Halpy in half-back line. Kenny, Jerry O'Connor midfield. That's the machine. That's the engine of this Cork team. Takes pressure off the full back line. They win a lot of puck outs and they win the ball, and they get a lot of ball through. Now the Cork forwards haven't been scoring goals, and as Jerry's friends there, Kilkenny are good at getting the goals. If Cork can get a goal, if they can get 2 goals today, it'll put them more than halfway win the team, because they need a few goals really to get. They get enough points, but to get on easy streets, you need a few goals.
Michael Duignan was saying earlier on that if they weren't playing Kilkenny today, he would expect Cork to win kind of handy.
Yeah, well, you see, Kilkenny are definitely the second best team in the country, and as well as that, Kilkenny have this thing of when they're up against Cork, when they're written off, when they're not favourites, or when people are just kind of saying, listen, geez. And above all, the man who's stung most is Cody.
Yeah.
And the most dangerous type of cat of all is an injured cat. You know, and so they're going to come out in this game. They came out into the field first, they come out in the gate with all guns firing. Now, of course, they have deficiencies in their team, they have deficiencies of pace, but you can make up for all of those.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as I said about Clare when we were there, that 5 of our backs couldn't run, yet they won 2 All-Irelands. You know, so it's what you do on the day. Everything is down now, right to the day. Who has the hunger for the game? And I think Kilkenny will have a huge hunger when it comes down to it.
It's extraordinary, sir. You know, just looking through the 2 teams and the subs on both teams. I mean, there's All-Ireland medals and the subs that most counties would be delighted to have.
Yeah, well, like in the Cork line out, probably you'd have the 2 Murphys would be near enough, and say Keane O'Connor. Now the Kilkenny fellas have a lot of fellas. Like I saw John Dalton playing earlier on this year for Kilkenny in the league game, centre back, and I was sure he'd make centre back. Yeah. And yet he was only Tennyson made it, and when they needed a centre back in the semi-final, it was Hogan and Brahan, and Tennyson or Dalton still had a great game under 21. They have a lot of players that won minor under 21. Now there's 5 or 6 fellas there, Michael, that are actually new. But if this Kilkenny team happens to win, they're going to be around for a long time as well, because that will be the making of this Kilkenny
I think
team.
There's a man that they're going to rely on, Joe Dean, today, and I think that's why maybe they'll put Ben O'Connor wing forward, because Cork feel that enough ball is not going into Ben O'Connor, and I think they'll put out are going into Joe Dean.
Yeah.
They'll put Ben O'Connor out towards the middle of the field to get him to supply the ball low and fast into Dean, knowing that he's on Mick Kavanagh, and Mick is slightly short of pace and hasn't played that many games as well. So Joe Dean has been in sparkling form until the semi-final. Now, I think they realise after the semi-final they have to give him more ball, and of course Brian Corcoran, he's a great supplier of the ball team as well. So, you know, all the tactics are made out now. You know, everything is done by John Allen. He can't do any more. Brian Cody can't do any more. The scene is set. It's now down to the players to produce it.
See, the thing about it is, I mean, fellas like Henry Shefflin, Joe Dean, players like that, you know how good they are, John Gardner and so on. For me, days like today can be won and lost by some of the other players.
Michael,
like the Eddie
that's
Brennan,
exactly
you put your finger on it. Supposing Eddie Brennan goes wide today, we've been talking about all year, he has the speed and he has the skill, and he's threatening to go through defence and score 4 or 5 goals. He still hasn't done it, because I feel that he's kind of jittery, he thinks he's going to be taken off. But just supposing today he goes mad, or the Richie Powers of the world that would have been on the Kilkenny team all along was injured. Now maybe he'll go in corner forward and Eddie outside wing, even though Eddie'd score more goals from inside. These guys could open up, you see, today. They're all talking about, say, Henry Shefflin and 14, O'Loughlin. It could be a new guy. But at the same token, the last semi-final for Cork, it was the likes of Timmy McCarthy who came good, who got the few points when Cork needed. But Cork aren't scoring the goals, so therefore other teams are with them. Now, there's no doubt about it. If Kilkenny get the chance that Limerick got, or if they get the chance that Waterford got against on the run, they will beat them. But this could be Cork's day. They'll be doing enough to win all the matches, and today they could really pull away.
Cork have a couple of players like that themselves, like Niall McCarthy, you know, and Timmy McCarthy, as Cyril said, you know, again, players who could be on fire today, or could be hauled off in the second half.
Correct, that's the way with Timmy McCarthy. You know, he scored 3 points the last day. Niall Ronan scored 3 points the last day. The half-hour line came really good the last day. We'll always blame the half-hour line, but Niall McCarthy does fantastic work. His job today will be to drag John Tennyson out of position, leave that channel down the centre for Jerry O'Connor and Tom Kenny to run through. That's his function in the team, you know, and if he scores after that, it's a bonus. Every person on that Cork team has a function. They've all, and they fulfil it to the letter of the law. But going back to Kilkenny, saying that they're dependent on Henry Shefflin, that is ridiculous. You know,